known as the Inspiration to Creation Coach. She's an Amazon best-selling hybrid author coach, transformational coach, and certified high performance coach who has helped thousands of aspiring writers turn their ideas into impactful books. Nina, welcome to.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
All right, so Nina, I would also like you to give a very brief introduction of yourself.
You want me to introduce myself?
Yes.
I am known as the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I like helping people get from where they are to where they want to go by stepping into being a creator, following their inspiration and their intuition and taking action on that to create what really matters to them. I'm an author and an author coach. I have self-published and traditionally published. I am also a certified high-performance coach and a transformational coach, which I bring those skills into my work with writers to help them kind of get out of their own way so that they achieve their goals of authorship.
All right, thank you so much. So let's get into the questions I have here for you. Okay, so how does our identity shape our ability to create meaningful work and achieve success?
So your identity is what you believe about yourself. And so it has a huge impact on whether you write and publish and achieve your goals. Because basically, if you have a negative belief about yourself, like I'm not good enough, or I don't know how to write, or nobody cares what I have to say, if you put an I am in front of that, you understand. So because those things hold you back. So I am someone who nobody listens to what I say. I am someone who's not a good writer. I am someone who's afraid to publish my work. Those are beliefs about yourself. And those negative kind of beliefs about yourself are negative identities, right? So anything where you say, I am, that's an identity. I'm a mother. I'm a writer. I'm an author. I'm someone who struggles to write. These are all identities. So when you shift your identity to a positive identity, that it helps you to write and publish, because as soon as you adopt a new identity, your habits and mindset all align with that. So if you say to yourself, I am an author, even if you're not yet published, if you say, I am an author, then you can begin to think about yourself in that light. And you will say, well, what does an author do? An author writes and an author publishes. So if I am an author, I write and I publish, right? So your mindset also is revolving around those kind of tasks and believing that you are someone who does that. So more often than not, people say, well, I'll be an author when I publish a book. But it's backwards thinking, because if you're not an author yet, you're not going to do the things or think the way an author thinks and acts. So you have to really shift your belief system about yourself first, and then the actions and the habits fall into place. So a lot of people tell me that they are someone who doesn't write consistently. They'll say, I am someone who doesn't write consistently. So that's an identity, a belief about themselves. If we then shift the identity to I am someone who writes consistently, every day there's no question about whether they're going to write or whether they're going to write consistently, because that's who they are. That is their identity. Their habit is to write consistently. They don't ever ask themselves, should I write today? Because their mindset is, I write consistently. Every day I write. So it makes a huge, huge difference. What you believe about yourself and the identities that you adopt. I hope that makes sense. I appear to be here all by myself. Hello? Hello?
All right, thank you sorry for the technical issues. So here is my next question for you. What habits and mindset shifts are
Okay, so
essential?
we don't have to go back to the beginning?
No, I think it was recorded.
Okay.
What habits and mindset shifts are essential for turning ideas into reality?
Well, you have to have an I can do it mindset. In my book, The Author Training Manual, I talk about author attitude, which is, You need to have tenacity. You need to have the ability to be objective. You need to have the ability to be it's gone out of my head, but so you have to be someone who sticks to it, who doesn't give up. And the objectivity is all about, being able to take constructive criticism and not being so attached to your words. And and optimism. So that's the I can do it part, right? So you have to be willing to do the things that are necessary. So I often talk about this as WOOT, W-O-O-T, willingness to do everything that's necessary, willingness to change yourself or change your identity in order to achieve your goals, right? Objectivity, because you're going to be working with a lot of people who are going to be giving you feedback. Your readers are going to give you feedback. Optimism, if you're negative about all of it, then it's going to be quite a struggle for you. And then the tenacity to keep going. So the mindset really has to be, I believe, I'm already a writer, I'm already an author, and I do all the things that are necessary. The habits go along with that. I mean, if you want to be a writer, you have to write. You can't be writing sporadically. You have to be writing. And it could be different types of writing every day, but you're writing. If you want to be an author, your habit has to be to do what's necessary to publish your work. No matter how you publish, self-publish or traditionally publish, you need to build what we call author platforms. So you have to be on social media or be a podcaster or be writing for publications or doing something to attract an audience for your books before you publish and after you publish. And you have to be a marketer. You have to market your books. So you have to have the habit of doing all these things. You have to, in some cases, learn the skills, but in other cases, just, start doing the things every day. Habits are formed through action, right? But again, if your identity is I'm someone who markets my books, then there's not a question about whether you're going to do that or not. You're going to do it. You're going to have that habit.
Okay, so talk about writing for change. What are the three most important ingredients for writing a book that truly makes a difference?
Well, I write about this in my book, Change the World One Book at a Time. I think that first you really have to know what your purpose is. You have to have a reason, that you want to write a book that inspires and motivates people to new action, to do something differently, whether that's changing themselves or whether it's changing something out there in the world. So you have to know your why, the meaning behind this, your mission, your calling, your purpose. And when you're clear on that, then you can also get clear on the purpose of your book. When you have those two things lined up, then I think it's really important for you to learn how change happens. Change is a process. Change, there are steps to it, and at the end you have transformation. But if you set out to write a book and you don't understand how people change, it's going to be very difficult for you to move people through the chapters of your book so that they are doing things differently. So a lot of people don't think about that. They just sit down to write a book that's meant to change people, but they don't, or change the world, but they don't really understand that process. So I think you have to understand that. And you also, along with that, have to understand your own relationship with change. Like, do you like change? Do you resist change? And what about your readers? You have to know where your readers are in this process. Do they know that they need to change? If they don't know they need to change, why would they read your book? Right? So there's all of that, knowing your relationship to change, your reader's relationship to change, and where they are in the process and how to move them through the process. With all that done, there's a whole stage where you're not writing, and what you're doing is you're building this audience for your book, this platform, as we like to call it. But I like to call it an engaged readership for your book. If you have a mission or a calling or a movement, what you're doing is you're bringing people in. You're attracting them through social media or podcasting or whatever it is you do, blogging. You're attracting them to your cause and to your movement and to your mission. You want them to become kind of members of your movement and to get on board with the type of change you want to produce with your book. So that's the whole promotion and marketing aspect, really. So with that, you then can sit down and write the book. And I always talk about, I talked about this also in the author training manual, that I think that it's really necessary, whether you self-publish or traditionally publish, that you produce a business plan for your book, which in traditional publishing terms is the book proposal. And I think that when you go through that process, you have to not only know what your book is about and why somebody would want to read it, but you have to sit down and say, this is not just my table of contents or my outline, but you have to get really detailed about it. And then you're going to know what you're going to write. I don't think sitting down and writing by the seat of your pants is the way to write a book that's going to change people. I think you have to really have figured out how to move people from I want to change or I need to change to actually changing, or the world needs me to, needs this kind of change. And, this is how you're going to help create that change. So you have to plan that whole thing out. You have to have the structure that moves people almost like a course, like, when you're learning and you're taking a course, and then you need to know what's going in every chapter. Then you can sit down and write because you know exactly what to write. And you're more likely at that point to actually write a book that inspires change. Now, the last thing I would say about the writing is it's helpful to learn about things like neuro-linguistic programming or other ways that even like copywriters, like marketers who are writing copy to help sell something, how to write in that fashion, because you're selling change and you want to move people along. Neuro-linguistic programming has languaging that you can use in your writing that's very natural, really, that moves people towards new action. So it's worth it for a writer to spend some time learning those things and incorporating them into their manuscript. That would be my answer.
All right. Thank you so much, Nina, for that wonderful answer. So what keeps most people from achieving their biggest dreams?
Themselves. Their beliefs about themselves, their inner chatter, their fears. A lot of this is a brain function. The brain doesn't want us to do anything different. The reptilian part of the brain, it's trying to keep us safe, and it sees any kind of change as life-threatening, even though it's not. So, it's this whole mental mishmash that goes on in our heads that keeps us from moving forward. And so that's, I say, it's us. We have the mental stuff going on, and then on top of that, we have emotional stuff, because our emotional state is often dictated by our mental state. And so if we're telling ourselves we're not good enough, or, I'm going to get rejected, then we're going to feel pretty lousy about ourselves, and that's going to make it hard to take action, right? And part of that is staying comfortable, that we want to achieve our goals, but to do that, we have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to stretch. And for most people, that's pretty hard. And it's difficult to move out of that. Doesn't mean you can't move out of it. Again, if you have the mindset of, I am someone who likes to get out of my comfort zone, you'll begin to get comfortable with getting out of your comfort zone. It'll become easier for you. So these are the kind of things that hold us back.
Thank you so much. So, can anyone become an author, or does it take a special kind of person to write and publish a book?
Feasibly, anyone could become an author. But I think, like I talked about earlier, you need to be someone who doesn't give up, and you need to be someone who believes that you have something to say and all of that. On the other hand, you don't have to be a writer. A lot of people will say, I can't write a book because I'm not a writer. There are lots of ways around that. And that's why you have developmental editors and line editors and all the different kinds of editors, because some people aren't great writers, but they have a great idea, and they can carry that idea out in terms of a manuscript that makes sense. And then they just need someone to clean it up, or a developmental editor to go through and move some things around, and help them make it into a manuscript that can become a saleable book. So I never want to tell anybody that says they're not a writer that they can't become an author. You can speak a book, you can get a ghostwriter. There's all kinds of ways to do it. I would not say using AI as a way to do it, and ghostwriting, somebody else writes the book for you. But still, if you have a good idea and you can give them all the information, it's your idea being carried out. So, yeah, I think you still need to be someone who's tenacious and has good ideas and is objective and willing to make changes, as necessary, and all those things we've already talked about. But feasibly, anybody could write a book. But of course, is it a book that sells? That's a different story.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, if you had to choose one factor above all others, what is the most essential ingredients for lasting success?
Well, I'm going to come back to tenacity, because writing and publishing requires, that you really have some endurance and that you don't give up. And the other thing is belief in yourself. You have to believe that you can do this, to believe that you have good ideas, that you have something to say that other people want to read or need to read. So there's a lot of self-belief, or self-esteem, I guess you could say, that you have to have. So the tenacity and the belief in yourself, or high self-esteem.
All right. So, what does it really mean to write for change? How can authors create lasting impact through their words?
Well, writing for change means producing a book that inspires and motivates people to do something different, that changes their lives, changes maybe their communities, maybe changes their employees' lives, or the way they lead their business, or could be a book that is meant to make improvements in the our environmental situation or an economic situation, or make changes in governments, or anything like that is a book about change. It could be about, a book meant to help people struggling with gender issues. It could be a book about how to recover or build a democracy. There's so many different topics that relate to change. So writing for change means having that sense of purpose or mission or calling, or a desire to help others and be of service in some way. Beyond that, it's that you want to make a positive and meaningful difference with your words. And so you produce a book that makes that positive and meaningful difference out there in the world. I'm not sure if I answered your question 100%.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, you believe the soul communicates with us. How can people recognize and trust that inner guidance?
Well, I believe our soul communicates with us through intuition and inspiration. And so if we want to be listening to our spiritual guidance system, we need to be paying attention to intuitive hits, to things that inspire us, things we're passionate about. And in my mind, my belief system is that our soul is connected to something greater, to God, if you will, or source or creator. And so we're always tapped into this spiritual flow anyway. But for writers, sometimes you get this intuitive hit about something. I am working on a book project right now where I saw something and kept watching videos, and so I suddenly had this idea, and so I sat down and I kind of did an outline, and I sent off an email to someone, and I acted on that intuition. And that's important, because to trust what your soul or your spiritual guidance system is offering you in terms of information, you have to act on it. The more you take action on your intuition or your inspiration, the more of it you'll receive. And so, for writers, like I said, pay attention. Is your intuition saying to make a phone call or submit a query letter or whatever it is? What's inspiring you? There are book ideas that inspired me long ago that I didn't write, and now I'm not so inspired by them anymore. But when you act on your inspiration, then you're going to sit down and you're going to write a whole lot more easily than you would if you weren't inspired. And your soul is also talking to you through your passion. So what are you passionate about? That's what you want to be writing about. So it's a matter of paying attention. You have to really just begin to pay attention and then trust that what you're getting is a communication from your soul or your spiritual guidance, and take action on it. That's how you trust it, is you take action on it, and then you will receive more guidance.
Okay, so commitment is central to success, right?
Commitment, yes.
So how can someone honestly discover what they are truly committed to?
The question is, how do they know when they're committed to something?
Yes.
Okay, so to know what you're committed to, all you have to do is look at your life. Are you committed to writing every day? Or are you committed to sitting on the couch and eating nachos and streaming, Netflix shows, like binge watching? Are you committed to exercising every day? Or are you committed to sleeping in every morning and lying around reading books? All you have to do is look at your life to know what you're committed to. So if you want to be an author and you're not writing or trying to get published, you're not committed to it. That's just all there is to it. You're committed to doing the things you're doing right now, whatever your actions are, typically your habits, your mindset. Those are all things you're committed to. When you decide to and choose to be committed to something else, you will be doing that. It's as simple as that, really.
Nina, thank you so much. So here is my final question for you. If there's one thing you wish listeners to take away from this conversation, what would you want that to be?
That anyone can do anything that they really feel called to do and are committed to do, and that the only thing standing in their way is themselves, as I said earlier. And as we change ourselves, we learn how to write books that change others. And lastly, that writing books that change lives and change the world is a very noble and needed cause right now. We need more authors of change. We need more people writing books that change lives and communities and organizations and the world. So I hope that this conversation inspires your listeners to know that they can do whatever they set their mind to, and to go out there and write books that inspire change.
Thank you. Today's conversation reminds us that success is about far more than publishing a book. It's about creating work that reflects who we are, serves others, and leaves a meaningful legacy. Nina challenges us to live, create, and write with purpose. Nina, before you go, how can listeners connect with you and know more about your work?
So the easiest way is to go to my main website, ninaamir.com. So NINAAMIR.com. I'm on all social media, either as Nina Amir or as the Inspiration to Creation Coach. And you can find my writing and blogging websites and blogs right there on ninaamir.com in the menu. But if somebody wants to go directly there, one is called writenonfictionnow.com and the other is called howtoblogAbook.com. And you can find all my books on my main site, or just go to Amazon if you like and plug in my name. But most of my books are available on barnesandnoble.com and bookshop.org and all of that. But everything can be found at ninaamir.com for easy peasy location.
Right, Nina, thank you so much. Once again, thank you for coming to my show and for providing value and your wisdom and perspective to me and to my audience.
You're very welcome. It was an honor, and I hope I provided the information that will inspire them and help them to pursue their goals, whether those are writing and publishing goals or other goals.
All right, thank you.